Right, now in the English medium mathematics lessons, students, in this video I'm going to explain the GCO level local syllabus, right? So in the graphs, right? So if you watch my early video, you get real idea about the how to find solutions of simultaneous equations, right? Now in second video, now in this video I will explain you how to draw quadratic graphs, right? So quadratic graphs, right? So in quadratic graphs we'll explain within this video. Main types of quadratic graphs, right? So actually there are so many types, so I categorize main types, right? So I categorize three main types of quadratic graphs, right? So following is a general form of quadratic graphs, so don't worry about that. When you get an example you can easily understand those one, right? So let's see. My first quadratic graph is this is a general form of a quadratic graph function, right? So that is y equal ax square plus bx plus c type, right? So in this graph type, so I am going to discuss about two types, right? You can see here. So simple a means that is a coefficient of x square, right? So coefficient of x square. So the coefficient of x square, simple a, may be positive or may be negative, right? So see here, in the first type I'll discuss with you when simple a is greater than 0, that means a is positive, right? So then one type of quadratic graphs. So then simple a is less than 0, that means that is negative. Then I'll draw how to draw the graph of this type, right? Then second part is I'll discuss with you this type. You can see y is equal plus or minus x plus a square plus or minus b type graph, right? So that is my second type quadratic graphs. And third type I'll explain you y is equal plus or minus x plus a into x plus b type, right? So simple a b are constant terms, so you can choose any numbers for that one. Now in the first part I'll discuss the quadratic function y equal ax square plus bx plus c type, where simple a is greater than 0 type graphs, right? So that means simple a is positive, right? So let's see what type of graph of this a greater than 0, right? So I'll take an example, right? So you can see here, so I'm not going to mention those one. So here you can see a function is y equal x square plus 2x minus 5. Now simple a is where? Simple a is in front of x square, so that means here, so no number, that means that is 1. What 1? Positive 1. So that's why I told you simple a is greater than 0, right? So in this part, right, using this example, I'll explain you how to find the coordinates, right? How to fill this table, and how to draw the graph of quadratic function, and this type of question, how to answering this type of questions, right, using the graph. Right, now let's move to the first one, right? You can see here, first one is I want to fill this table, right? So that is my Roman number 1. So need to fill this table. So you can see here in the table x coordinate, some are already filled. You have to find the y coordinate when x is negative 2, and y coordinate when x is negative 1, and also y coordinate when x is 0, right? So let's find using our function. So remember our function, right? So here I take x is negative 2, right? So my function is, remember students, in example, y is x square plus 2x minus 5, right? So you get an idea about this one, right? Here x square, so if you put value for x, you have to take the square of that value. Then here 2x mean if you put value of x, that should multiply by this positive 2, right? Then subtract 5, right? So using this one, try to find when x is negative 2, right? So first one I have to do is substitute x is negative 2, right? Let's see here x is negative 2, right? X square negative 2 square plus 2 into x, here means 2 into x, that means 2 into negative 2, right? Then minus 5, right? Let's take negative 2 square, right? What is the value of negative 2 square? Negative 2 square mean negative 2 into negative 2, right? So that means 2 into 2 4, negative negative positive, that is positive 4. Then what happened to this one? 2x mean should multiply, that means positive 2 multiplied by negative 2, right? So that means 2 into 2 4, positive into negative, that is negative, right? Then minus 5. So then simplify this one, right? How to simplify? Here you can see, here 4 means positive 4, positive 4 negative 4, that is 0, then you remain only negative 5, right? So that is the value of y, you can see here, when x is negative 5, right? So same way you can find when x is negative 1, right? X is negative 1, right? So function is this one, substitute negative 1, you can see here x is negative 1 square plus 2 into negative 1 minus 5, right? So then negative 1 square is positive 1, 2 into negative 1 is negative 2 minus 5, right? So then as a directed numbers you can simplify this one, right? Positive 1 negative 2, that is negative 1, then negative 5 is negative 6. So that is the value of y when x is negative 1. So if you go to third value, x is 0, right? X is 0. Now function is this one. So substitute x as 0, right? What happened? Here 0 square plus 2 into 0 minus 5, right? So be careful. 0 square means 0 into 0, that means 0, right? So then 2 into 0, any number multiplied by 0, that is also 0, then minus 5. So all are 0, only remain negative 5. So that is the value of y when x is 0, right? So that is how to find values of y. Right, now we'll move to the Roman number 2, right? Roman number 2, they ask to plot the graph, right? Now you can see how to plot the graph, right? So these are the points, right? You can mark those one and you draw a smooth graph. So this is the graph. So what is the function of the graph? You can see there y equal x square plus 2x minus 5, right? So then we'll move to the another questions, students. Right, Roman number 3, what is the question? See, minimum value of the function, right? Minimum value of the function. Students, you know, we start to draw the graph from this point, right? So what happens if you draw the graph this way? See, this way, this cursor is going on. So this way you draw the graph, right? A smooth curve. Then you come to this point. Then you again go there. So that means the graph comes, minimum point is this point, right? So that means what is the minimum value? Minimum value, that is this negative 6, right? Negative 6. So that is a minimum value, right? Right. Then Roman number 4, see the coordinate of the turning point, right? Coordinate of the turning point. So what is a turning point? Turning point means, see here we start graph from this point, then draw this way, right? Early as early. So if you come to this one, this is the turning point, right? You can just see the green color. So this is the turning point, right? How to take the coordinate? You need x coordinate and y coordinate. How to take x coordinate? Go along the x-axis, right? So this is x coordinate. What is x coordinate? -1, right? See here. Then how to take the y coordinate? Go horizontally along to the y-axis, that is you can meet -6. So that is the coordinate of turning point, right? -1 comma -6, right? Right. Then move to Roman number 5, students. Right. Roman number 5 say, see the equation of axis of symmetry. After drawing it, you have to draw the equation of axis of symmetry, right? So what is the axis of symmetry? That means the line you can divide this graph into two equal parts, right? Now you see here, right? So this blue color line, dotted line, is the axis of symmetry, right? From this line you can divide this graph into two equal parts. So you can see there, this line passes through x value. What is x value? That is -1. So equation of this straight line is x equal -1. Okay, right. We'll move to Roman number 6 question. The values of x for which y is equal 0. Let's see here, values of x, we need x values. How? Function y is equal 0, right? So let's see the graph. So this is the line, y value, see here, y value is 0, right? This is the y equal 0 line. Now where is the graph now? Graph is in this point, right? Graph is in this point. So that means what is the value here? What is the value here? This is x value. So that value is, you can read, x equal -3.5, right? So that is one value. Then other part is there also, and when y is 0, graph is this point also, graph in this point also. So what is the value of that x value? That is x equal 1.5. So those are the value of x for which y is equal 0, right? So let's move to next question, Roman number 7. See, important one. The range of values of x for which function is decreasing positively, right? You know, function decreasing, increasing, positively, negatively, those one, right? So try to understand. If you start from this point, what happened to the graph, right? What happened to the graph? In this way, that means decreasing, right? Up to this point, decreasing, then that is increasing, right? So that is how decreasing and increasing, right? How positively, negatively? Positive means this is x-axis, right? So above this x-axis, graph is positive, right? Above this x-axis, graph is positive. Below this x-axis, graph is negative, right? So that is how positively, negatively. Now we want decreasing, that means this part, right? But positively, that means graph should come this way to this one, right? So this is the part graphs come decreasing positively, right? Because we start from this point, graph is there anywhere on the above this point also, right? Right. Now we want to read what is the value? X value, right? So graphs comes from this point to this point. How x vary? See, x is vary from this point to this way, right? So you can see there, if you find the values of x when the graph moves this way, right? Actually graph moves this way, so x vary from this point to this way, right? So that means left side of the x-axis. So though you can read this value. What is this value, right? You can read early also that x value is, what is x value? -3.5, right? So we want this value, we want this value. So these values, you can see, these values are less than this -3.5, right? We want this value. These are the value of x function is decreasing positively. So these values are less than, see the inequality, less than -3.5, right? So that is a range, right? That has no two parts, right? Then move to next question. A range of values of x for which the function is increasing negatively, right? Another one, same one, right? So see here, increasing. So this one, so increasing means this point to, if you draw the graph this way, this is the part increasing, right? You know, the negatively means below this x-axis. So increasing below this x-axis mean graph is in this point to this point, right? So this is the part increasing negatively, right? Now we want x range. How to take x range? So you can see here, so when graph moves this point to this way along this one, x vary this point to this one, right? You can see here, if graph comes to this point, x is here. Graph comes to this point, x is here. That means x is vary along this -1 to 1, right? 1.5. So how to take the range? So here this value is -1, right? You can write that one, right? So this is how to write this range, right? So this value you can read, that is 1.5, right? See, then in the middle you can write x, right? Now take the value. So you can see there this value. So if you consider -1, right, this -1, so these values are greater than or less than to -1, that is greater than to -1, right? Greater than to -1, we want these values. So you can see here inequality, see here, so that is greater than. Then 1.5, so this is 1.5, we want this value. So these values are less than -1.5. So these are the values we want as x, right? So try to write in this way. Right, next move to another questions, students. So another question is the range of values of x, right? X range for which y is less than -2, right? Y is less than -2, right? So first in this type of question you should draw the line. What is line? Forgetting inequality, draw the y equal -2 line, right? So y equal -2 line. So you can see there, this is the line y equal -2 line, right? So now we want to take y less than -2, right? Y less than -2, that means above this line or below this line. Y is less than means below this line, right? Below this line. So what is the graph part? Below this line means graphs goes this point to this way, right? This is the graph part when y less than -2. Now you read the x range. So when graph moves this point along this way means x vary. You can see there, this point to this point. That means you can see there, this is the range we want, right? So read that way. This point you can read, that is -3. So this point you can read, that is 1. In the middle you can write x. Now put the inequality. How? We want this value. So these values are greater than -2. So that is the x range, right? So we want this value. These values are less than 1, right? So here less than 1, that is the x, right? X, right? We'll move to another question, students, right? So my last question is the root of the equation x is x square plus 2x minus 5 equals 0, right? Now see the graph, right? See the graph. We draw the graph y equal x square plus 2x minus 5, right? So this is the function we draw. They ask root of x square plus 2x minus 5 equals 0. What is the difference between this quadratic equation, right? This quadratic equation that has two roots. So that's quadratic equation and this graph, this function. So here y, you can see here, y is equal 0. So y is equal 0 means here, y is equal 0 means graph is, right? So along this line, right? So our graph is in this point, right? Y is 0, right here, see. So this is 1x, right? This is 1x. What is x? That is read as early. X is -3.5 and graph is also this point, that is x equal 1.5. So these are the two values of this solution of this equation, right? Using graph means take the x value when y is equal 0, right? So those are the two values, right? Alright students, now in the coming up video, next video, I'll discuss with you this type of graphs. You can see here, right? You can see here y equal ax square plus bx plus c type graph we are discussing. So in next part, I'll discuss with you a less than 0. That means a is negative, right? So coefficient of x square is negative. So that means I will discuss with you this type of graph. Y is equal negative x square minus 2x plus 5. So keep in touch, right? This is a graph, right?